And we welcome you into the Cross Country Mortgage Campus here in Berea. This is episode number 16 of the best podcast available, presented by our great friends at Cross Country Mortgage. I'm Jason Gibbs, joined by staff writer Anthony Poisal. And the Browns and OTAs officially done for the 2022 off-season. What remains? 3 days of mandatory minicamp, and then we wait for training camp, a little summer vacation for the kids, as they like to say.
Yeah, definitely. And, it was great to see them wrap up the 10 practices that they had for OTAs and kind of slide into this last part of the offseason with the mandatory minicamp. We've been able to learn a lot over the last couple weeks of just watching guys practice, seeing how, some certain personnel lined up, seeing who this coaching staff was kind of maybe going to be counting on come training camp. So we were able to talk with some coordinators today, which was nice. They would give us a lot of information on some of the new guys that they've been able to bring into this roster and what their roles might be, starting the season. So, definitely good to wrap up OTAs, and it'll be interesting next week, getting a full squad back here for mandatory minicamp and seeing, maybe what changes, if anything, and, just being able to kind of draw some other observations from having a full team here.
And we will get into those mandatory minicamp practices coming up a little bit later in the podcast. Coming up today, I had a chance coming off the practice field the other day to sit down with two guys getting ready for their third season, and two guys that a lot is being counted on from the both of them, and linebacker Jacob Phillips and defensive tackle Jordan Elliott. This is their first off-season. Hard to believe, like real off-season, because of the last 2 years and COVID. They got drafted in the middle of the pandemic, and then last year it was still virtual, so they really didn't have the, quote, off-season program that normal NFL players go through, and this is their first time. And the guy's doing some really good work.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy to think that, players that are entering their third year are still kind of learning some new things about the NFL, but that's exactly what you have with both Jordan and Jacob. And, you can tell not just by, listening to those two guys, but some of the other second and third year players that haven't kind of had this experience before, that it's helping them out a lot. They're able to kind of get into the weight room. They're able to obviously build some team chemistry with guys that, it just wasn't easy to build team chemistry when you were doing everything virtual before. So they're able to connect with teammates better. And then just more hands-on work with the coaches. I think that's a really important part of being able to have a full off-season program is, these guys are practicing every day. It's not just one practice every week, like we had at times last year and obviously, in 2020, but they're learning a lot. And I think that's a big reason why some of these second and third year guys are going to be counted on a lot this year, is that they're able to have this full off season under their belt. Guys are staying healthy too, which is great. And I think this is going to be a good stepping stone for them as they kind of get into training camp and prove even more that they're kind of able to step into these big roles. And Jordan and Jacob certainly are in that group.
Week 3 OTAs, and we'll get into breaking down the OTA top 3 names. Anthony's coming up in just a few minutes. But if you want to take away from week 3 of OTAs, his name is Cade York. Hello. Welcome to the National Football League, young fella. 7 of 8 on field goals? Did I have that right, or 6 of 7?
It was 6 of 7.
6 of 7.
And the special...
the math. I didn't go to college for
it. Yeah, the special one was the last kick he made. We don't have the exact distance, but it was from at least 60 yards, which is no joke.
And I was on the side. Brad Mellon was the makeshift referee equipment extraordinaire underneath the goalpost. That thing was good from 65.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely had a lot of power to it, and it was great to see. There were a lot of the teammates were kind of making some noise, trying to, as best as they could, replicate what it would be like maybe kicking in an away stadium with a lot of pressure. But Cade, I mean, he put a lot of power into that ball, and he kicked it right down the middle, and it was like, okay, you don't want to take too much from just one kicking session, but that kick was like, you can see why, Mike Prefer was so excited to get him, and why this coaching staff is excited to have kicker that they believe is going to be able to do really well at First Energy Stadium, regardless of what the weather's like. And we certainly saw that, he's got that powerful leg that they were hoping that he could carry over from LSU. And we'll get a chance, over the next few weeks to kind of see that even more.
So, Cade York, maybe the star of the week from OTAs, from media availability, and the one day that the media was able to go out on the practice field and take in everything. On Wednesday, got a chance to talk to all the assistant coaches as well, from the offensive side, from the defensive side. JJ3 talked, Anthony Schwartz talked, Kevin Stefanski talked. Busy week, including from the golf tournament on Monday. But the assistant coaches, the spotlight on them in this final week of OTAs. Your takeaways from the offensive coaches that you were able to talk to.
Yeah, definitely. So, I was able to listen in on specifically what Chad O'Shea was saying. And, it's just evident that he really does have a lot of faith in Anthony Schwartz and Donovan Peoples-Jones. And it goes back to what we were talking about with the second and third year guys. Chad O'Shea said that, this offseason program for them is not something that they've kind of been able to have before. And he's been able to really kind of see them take a lot of steps over the last few weeks. He mentioned specifically with Peoples-Jones that, his release is looking better. He's just looking like a more confident, comfortable receiver. And then, with Schwartz, he's healthy. You remember last year he wasn't able to participate in every single practice just because he was dealing with injuries here and there. So the fact that he's been able to be, a consistent presence in this offseason program so far has really benefited him. And you can just kind of tell by the way, because he talked with media on Wednesday as well, and you can just kind of tell that he is comfortable, more confident. He said it himself. It's like when he gets up to the line of scrimmage, he's not thinking, how am I going to mess this play up, or how can I mess this play up? It's, all right, what do I need to do to make sure I'm open and can catch the football? And that's why, I think they haven't really looked to bring in any other receivers to sort of fill in those roles that you have behind Amari Cooper. It's like they trust that Schwartz and Peoples-Jones are going to be able to step into those roles this year, and obviously David Bell as well. But Chad O'Shea said some really good things about those two players on Wednesday. And then just, with the offense, with Drew Pretzing talking, our quarterbacks coach, just saying that, the offense is still a work in progress, as it should be when you're kind of in this period of OTAs. Nothing is going to be finalized, especially when you're working with not one, but three new quarterbacks in your quarterback room. So they're still kind of, finding out what works best with those guys and how they can kind of mold an offense to kind of maximize their skill set. And that's something that really we're going to see come together during training camp, I think. Now it's like they're just trying to see, okay, what they can do. Obviously workouts right now for the most part are at lighter speeds, but I think we'll see that pick up during mandatory minicamp and training camp, and we'll get a better idea of sort of what this offense is going to look like this year.
All right, what about on the defensive side of the ball? The defense really, I think they've had themselves a nice little OTA session, making some big plays, secondary all over the place, linebackers flying all over. Your takeaways from the defensive assistants?
Yeah, definitely. So I got to talk with our defensive line coach, Chris Kiffin, about
he is a treat.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, they've got so many good players. Obviously the news of Jadeveon Clowney re-signing was a big deal for Coach Kiffin, and I think he feels really good about what they have in the interior too. Obviously talking a little bit about Jordan Elliott and Taven Bryan is a guy that I think that they're going to be counting on a lot to sort of step into that. 2018 first round pick, who maybe hasn't had like a monster season yet in the NFL, but has still been a quality guy that can stop the run. And I think, they're going to be counting on him to kind of be fill one of those two starter spots this year. And then the other one's kind of open. And it sounds like they kind of want to see what Jordan Elliott can do. And obviously there's a lot of guys that are going to be competing for that role, like Tommy Togiai is another. But, Coach Kiffin talked highly about what Jordan Elliott can kind of do in this third year, as someone who was drafted like him in the third round. That third year is kind of when you expect a guy drafted in that range to sort of step up. And I think that's what he's counting on in Jordan Elliott this year. He said he added on a little bit extra weight, some good weight, and that he's kind of using that to be a faster player. And so we've seen, Jordan take some first team reps in this offseason program, and we'll see if that continues when we kind of get into minicamp and training camp. But I know he feels really good about what they have in the defensive line and in the interior. And then, you got to like what you have in the secondary as well, right? So many returning players who had some great seasons last year. I think the one that has stood out so far is John Johnson. We've seen him take 2 interceptions now in the last 2 weeks, and just seems like he's playing with, more freely as well, which is what you kind of want in a player like him, because he's got the body, he's got the size, the speed, the instincts, and just a better knowledge of the playbook that's going to help him be a better player in his second season in this defense.
Yeah, the defense has made some plays, and they reminded the offense almost to the minute exactly what they were doing after they did it. So a little celebratory.
Very loud.
Yes, very loud. They enjoyed every minute of the turnovers that they created and the chaos they created. But the offense, they got some plays in as well in these 10 OTAs. For more on that defensive line room and in the linebacker room. I had a chance coming off the field to talk to linebacker Jacob Phillips and also defensive tackle Jordan Elliott about some of these things, their off seasons, what they've been doing, and as they prepare for their third year in the NFL, a very important year when it comes to contracts and when it comes to NFL futures. A big year expected from both of those guys, and they are both more than ready. Have a watch and have a listen. And here on the best podcast available, OTAs officially wrapping up, joined by Jordan Elliott, defensive tackle, joined by linebacker Jacob Phillips. Year 3 for both of you guys, and this is your first real off-season. I mean, not to take away from the last couple, but this is your first off-season in person. Jordan, what has it been like? What's the vibe been like in the building to see everybody and not wait till training camp to see everybody in person for the first time?
Man, it's great, man. It's just, being here, being with the teammates, everybody just building, camaraderie. And I don't know, it's one of those things, like you said, we didn't really have a real off-season these past 2 years, that I've been here. So, I don't know, it's a little different. The vibe, the energy is all good. Everybody, just connecting. They're not really worried about this and that, just football. So it's cool.
It's been quite spirited, actually. And the weather has been perfect. And Jacob, year 3. Year 3 for both of you guys. Like, what a 3-year stretch it has been with from COVID and being drafted, me interviewing you guys from living rooms. With my dogs underneath my table as I did it, and to now in person, and now you're a veteran, my friend. What's this journey been like for you?
It's been a great journey. Obviously, my personal journey, I've had a lot of, hiccups with injuries this far in my career, but, I'm just excited to, be feeling healthy, feeling strong as I felt this time me being in the NFL, as healthy as I felt this time me being in the NFL. And, obviously it's smart because I've gotten the reps and, this is my 3rd year in the playbook. So I'm just super excited and, looking forward to what's to come for the season.
Jordan, playing off of Jacob and what he had to say, everybody's back. A lot of the guys back, especially in that defensive line room. Coach Kiffin's back, and Coach Kiffin is a little bit of a character. He likes to get everybody fired up. He's a pretty fired up guy. What's it been like to have that defensive line back intact? And for the most part, defensively, most of you guys are all back again for a 3rd year now.
I mean, it's a beautiful thing, man. Like when JD came back, for that day, it was just, I don't know, like just that energy. It just was foreshadowing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's one of those things. We look forward to the season. We look forward to just being a unit, you know what I mean, and everybody shining together. So, I don't know, it's a blessing.
It is. We're quite happy. I like seeing familiar faces and not a lot of changeover. Jacob, talking about the linebacker room, Coach Tarver, but more importantly, Anthony Walker Jr. and what he's meant to your development from a leadership. What have you learned from him in the season and a half now as you've spent the entire offseason together? What have you learned from him?
It's always good to have somebody, who's knowledgeable and, not just our playbook, but he's been in different systems in the past. So, he has more of, he has a broader view of what systems we might be getting to beat our specific defense because, he played in our defense, he played Indy's defense, and, it's all kind of like a tree in the NFL. So it's been great. So, be able to ask questions, even with the coaches, Coach Tar, Coach Bloom, Zach, everybody's always willing to help. We have a great relationship in the linebacker room, and, that's something that, not every team has. So, I'm grateful for that, and, I'm grateful for everybody in the room.
Talking with Jacob Phillips and Jordan Elliott, Browns defense, 3rd year for both guys here on the best podcast available. Jordan, you take a look at this defensive line and coming into their own, and everybody wants to know what's going to happen at the defensive tackle position. It's a position to watch here as we get close to training camp. What have your goals been this offseason in terms of getting ready for training camp in this 2022 season?
Honestly, just being in the best shape of my life, coming in strong, coming in with an attitude of domination rather than, preparedness, survival. And just coming in attack mode, I feel like that's the whole D-tackle room, like the group, we all know that's what our goal is, our mission. See how much penetration we can get this whole season. You know what I mean? Stat-wise, we're not really worried about stats, but we worry about how can we affect the game. So that's all we think about right now.
Mentally, what do you have to go through in terms of getting ready for this season?
Pushing myself every day, you know what I mean? Like not being complacent and comfortable, knowing that no matter how strong, no matter how much shape, I can always be more. You know what I mean? So that's just my mindset. You know, I'm thankful for that mindset. I'm gonna just keep on rolling.
And Jacob, you mentioned it earlier. You've gone through some periods here where you've battled some injuries, but yet you've been able to come back. You ended the season strong this past year and were able to put out some meaningful snaps and really start to turn the corner a little bit. What's your mindset been here in this offseason in terms of getting ready for 2022?
I think tearing my bicep in training camp last year, you know, going through that whole process kind of taught me how to be a pro. You know, what it takes to recover my body, what it takes to prepare for the week ahead, what it takes to prepare for the team ahead. You know, I think that was, you know, a blessing and a curse. Obviously, I had to sit out those amount of games, but I mean, as you saw, like when I came back, you know, it didn't look like I lost a step. You know, obviously reps count, but you know, I'm excited that, you know, we get this OTA period where we get even more reps under my belt, and you know, heading into the season, you know, I'm betting it all on me.
All right, I'll start with you, Jacob, first. The toughest exercise our strength staff has put you through. What's the one thing that when you go to work out in the off season that you are like, I am dreading this? I know it's going to make me better, but I'm dreading every minute of this.
So I stayed after the season for like a month and a half and worked with the training staff on just getting my body as strong as I could. So we started doing a lot of Olympic lifts. So it's probably all those snatches, all the Bulgarians, power cleans, all that stuff. That stuff it added on all those reps, but yeah. But now I've grown accustomed to it and I like it now. So you know I'm not shying away from the weight room. So I don't know what's too tough, but
no, I'm fairly confident neither one of you are shying away from the weight room. I shy away from the weight room. I work my way to the cafeteria. Jordan, what about you? What's the one thing that the strength coaches, it's on the board in the morning and you're like, yeah, this is going to not be fun.
Honestly,
today.
for me, them sled pushes, like we be doing these sled pushes, like it don't look like it's too hard because it's only like a plate on there. And then when you get down there, you start marching, and all of a sudden you like, damn, you get up, you like, I just had a whole workout or something, what's going on? But like, you know, the sled pushes, that's the one thing that I'm like,
Then we put the bungee lateral shuffles.
Oh yeah, right after
against
that.
each other. Yeah,
right after
I
that.
did those once. See,
you don't go against us?
No, I have no interest in going against either one of you guys.
Come on, big dog.
Back in the day, yes, when I worked out and actually played some basketball. I didn't play football.
Oh, you was hooping, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. As we look to mandatory minicamp next week, what do you want to get out of this, those 3 days? They're pretty important. Everybody will be here, and it's the final tune-up before training camp.
Right. I mean, honestly, just consistency, just doing what I do best, coming out big, strong, knowing the playbook in and out, you know, and just showing that on film. So that's what I'm here to do.
Jacob, what about you?
Basically, you know, I feel like the tone gets set within our room, so. You know, I'm hoping that, you know, everybody in our room every day, we come out here, we set the tone for the defense.
Nah, we set the tone. D-line set.
All right, we run to the ball, and, you know, we make the plays that should be made by us, and, you know, we celebrate when our teammates make the other plays. So, you know, we've been at this for a while now, so it kind of meshes together, you know, when we all trying, you know, every single day. But, you know, I'm excited for minicamp.
Absolutely. So are we, and a chance to really see what we're going to see come training camp. All right. What is the best – you guys have both been here for 3 years now. What is your favorite place to go and grab food in this town? I'll start with you, Jordan.
Yeah, you got to start with me. I'm big. The best place I've been to out here, probably Lago East Bank. Right, it's right across the street, honestly. But
my guy Fabio.
There, and then second – is another place right next to it called Anejo Bar, and they got like real good like beef tips, like Cajun shrimp. It's good. So check them spots out.
Jacob?
So I stay out in Strongsville, so we don't have too many restaurants out there, but
Is there one anywhere in the city that you'd like to go?
in Strongsville or Cleveland?
Anywhere in Cleveland.
In Cleveland,
I'll give you. I'll open it up for you.
the last time I went to eat downtown, I went to Jade Asian Fusion, and that was super good.
Fire.
So I think that might be my new spot. Normally we used to go to like Lindsay's after games, me and my family, but I think that might be my new spot.
All right. Any vacation plans once mandatory minicamp ends? Jordan?
Now I'm going to be up here just grinding, working out.
Is it one of those situations where like there's probably going to be a conditioning test when you come back before training camp, so you got to be careful? Like you don't want to be on a beach for 4 weeks and getting a little crazy and
Yeah, I mean,
watching the diet and everything?
I feel like, as a collective, we just, we think it past just camp survival. We trying, like I said, we trying to dominate. So I don't think people are going to be just out vacationing. Everybody grinding.
Finally, did you guys go to Miami?
I did.
You went to Miami?
Yep.
How was it?
It was amazing. Super happy that Miles, took us out there on his own dime. Flew us there in a private jet. Put us up in a nice hotel, and we had a lot of fun. I feel like we actually grew a lot closer. Like, the mission was accomplished of us, building that chemistry. So I enjoyed it. I appreciate Miles for doing it.
Even though there was a tropical storm literally rolling right through Miami.
But we all in the same place, so
yeah,
we didn't get caught in the rain too much.
Something tells me that it's okay. It's not a big deal. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. Jacob Phillips, Jordan Elliott, I wish you guys nothing but the best. Enjoy a couple well-deserved weeks off. Look forward to talking with you guys again soon. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Special thanks to Jacob Phillips and Jordan Elliott for their time. Two players that I think really could have a big impact on this defense, Anthony, in 2022. Jacob Phillips at the linebacker spot he said it himself. He's learned a lot from Anthony Walker Jr., and that whole linebacker room is pretty close. And then Jordan telling us on the defensive line, they're putting in the work, and everybody's been here. A lot of the guys, have come in. They might miss a day or two. It is voluntary at the end of the day, but guys are getting their work in. And Jordan Elliott said it best, and even Jacob said it. Like, they didn't go anywhere in the offseason. Everybody's been sticking around. It has been a popular theme. You're in the 70s and in the 80s from a player participation ratio. That's pretty big for a football team in the offseason for, quote, voluntary workouts.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the podcast, but, these guys haven't had an opportunity to kind of come here and enjoy the offseason program the way that it's supposed to be enjoyed. It's, Kevin Stefanski has said it multiple times over the course of these last few weeks. This is supposed to be like fun for the guys. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be productive. You want to, go out, have a good practice, but, it's also a chance to kind of bond with teammates and make sure that you're putting the work in a fun way, to kind of be ready for when that grind of training camp starts up. And so I think for the guys, especially with Jordan and Jacob, guys that didn't have this before, it's just something that they really kind of wanted to seize and take advantage of now that they're able to kind of enjoy it to the way that it's supposed to be enjoyed to its full extent.
Yeah, two guys again. A lot will be counted on from the both of them as we get into training camp. It'll be exciting to see where both of those guys go because they're both great guys who have come a long way and finally starting to see their development here and excited about it.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's important to point out about Jacob Phillips, and so, we talked about Jordan earlier, but specifically with Jacob, it seems like over the course of these last few practices that he will be having a much bigger role in the defense. He's been taking those first team snaps at the Mike position, which is where Anthony Walker was last year, and you can still see that. Anthony Walker's still a possibility for that role. Nothing is set yet. Still way too early, but they're at least trying to get Jacob ready for that role, which would be a big adjustment for the defense. It might mean that he's the guy wearing a green sticker possibly and relaying plays to the rest of the defense. But when you're in that Mike spot, you got to be ready to command the guys at the line of scrimmage and the other players that are around you. And that's a big responsibility even for a player that's going into his third year. But it seems like this coaching staff and this team has a lot of confidence in Jacob to kind of step up this year. I think, they wanted him to kind of jump into that role last year, but obviously injuries kind of got in the way. I think he was only able to play in 4 games last year. But now that he's back and fully healthy and, he's probably put on a little more muscle and is kind of, that fits the mold of what they want in that middle spot at linebacker. And I think it's great that they're able to have someone like Anthony Walker, too, that can kind of help guide him through that, a veteran player like Anthony. But, yeah, I think there's some really big things that are expected out of Jacob and definitely Jordan this year.
Got to stay healthy. Starts there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. What I said earlier is that it's good that these guys are making it through now healthy. They're able to get these reps in. Hopefully that keeps up during training camp.
Yeah, no question. All right, OTAs, as we mentioned, done. 10 OTA sessions in the books. Mandatory minicamp awaits us next week. Time now. Anthony Poisal, the spotlight on you. Your 3 most interesting players through the 3-week OTA period.
Yeah.
In no particular order, unless you want to.
No particular order. But we've talked about him a lot already. But the guy that has really jumped out to me so far has just been David Bell. He's caught everything that's been thrown his way. It's clear that he has an understanding of how to get open on just about every single play. Now, one of the things that Chad O'Shea did say was that, it's a matter of refining his route running abilities to fit this particular playbook whenever that gets finalized. So that'll be something to watch over the next few weeks. But, so far, this is about, as smooth of a start as you could have asked for from him. A third-round guy that they're expecting to have a pretty big role in the offense this year. So the fact that he's, sort of been able to develop a quick chemistry with Deshaun and Jacoby Brissett as well, because he's been taking reps on both first and second teams. He's looked comfortable in the slot, which is a big plus. But he's kind of fit everything that they are sort of asking for so far from him. My number 2 is going to be Greg Newsome, just because this seems like it's going to be a pretty big year for him. Also for, slot position purposes, he's going to be, it seems like he could be the guy that slides in there on defense. And he's been playing a lot of snaps there over the course of OTAs and has looked pretty solid. He's had a couple pass breakups and it just looks like a confident player that's ready to kind of take whatever role they ask for him in this defense, which I think is a really good thing to see if you're trying to find out who's going to replace that spot that was manned by Troy Hill last year. And when they have such a deep cornerback secondary room, I think it's good that you can have a guy like Greg that, can step into that role. My number 3 is the guy we've been talking about already, is Jacob Phillips. If he's able to sort of take that middle linebacker role and possibly become a starter this year, that's a pretty big jump for him. And that's what you want out of a guy that was drafted where he was 2 years ago. This is, like I said, kind of the time that you would expect players drafted in those 3rd, 4th, those middle rounds to really kind of take that next step and become a bigger part of, whichever side of the ball they're on. And I think we're seeing that with Jacob right now, with them giving him those snaps at the Mike position. So those would be my 3 biggest guys that I think I'm kind of, really looking forward to see how they progress over these next few weeks.
Looking forward to mandatory mini camp next week. So here's the schedule. On Tuesday, full practice at the Cross Country Mortgage campus here in Berea. On Wednesday, a trip to the Football Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and a light practice at, I think, Tom Benson Stadium.
I think so.
I think it'll be at
there's only so many spots there.
Yeah, correct. It'll be a light workout, and then getting to know the history of this franchise and the history of the NFL. Some programs planned for the team in the afternoon at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Thursday, wrapping up the off-season program at First Energy Stadium. And really, one of the big reasons why is there's a number of events coming to First Energy Stadium, and that field isn't going to exist maybe until early August before we get a chance to get back out there. So I think a chance for the team to get down to First Energy and practice there. What's one thing that you are looking forward to seeing or that you want to see next week from this football team in mandatory minicamp?
Yeah, I think the thing is just going to be to kind of focus on the offense and sort of seeing how they kind of are able to adapt a little bit more now that they're going to have a full roster, not just on the offense, because I think, a good chunk of the offensive guys have been here already, but, they're going to have now a full squad on defense. And so I think that gives them an opportunity to sort of, try some new things and maybe kind of see what direction they want to move with the playbook come training camp. It's all about maximizing sort of the mobility that Deshaun Watson has and what some of the other quarterbacks in that room are kind of able to do. And like we talked about before, that's what this is for. So I think it'll be interesting to see maybe what kind of different looks they throw in the offense. I know over the course of these last few practices, we've sort of seen a lot of sort of pre-snap motions and, ways that they can maybe deceive the defense with some audibles here and there. So we'll see if that maybe can keep up. Hopefully we get a little bit better of a picture as to what will kind of come together on the offensive side of the ball as far as how the playbook looks over at the end of those 3 days.
Yeah, for me defensively, who's in that first team on the defensive line? who's lining up where in the secondary, and more importantly in that secondary, who are the guys that are coming in to get those second team reps? Because we know about the starters on this football team, but the last few years we've been very deep at the corner position, 6, 7, 8 guys. Well, there's a lot of those guys departed last year, so I'm interested to see who's going to step up and fill those second team reps and kind of solidify themselves for training camp when it starts in 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the personnel side of it on both sides of the ball will be interesting. And, you talk about the cornerbacks. It's like, okay, so now that they have Greg and Denzel and they got, Greedy Williams, Martin Emerson, A.J. Green on that in that specific position, it's like, how are those guys going to slot up? Is Greedy, would he play more on the outside? Could Martin Emerson be a guy that maybe splits some of those outside reps with Greedy, depending on how fast he's able to come along? So all of those things will definitely be interesting to watch now that we kind of have a full squad here. I think the intensity might kind of ramp up a little bit. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of 7-on-7, those team drills where you can kind of get a really good look at what our coaching staff is thinking of how those guys are going to be used, and then obviously just evaluating players. How do they look at this point of the off season, and it'll be really a good time to take even more observations about what's going on.
Well, let's hope the weather continues to be as nice as it's been this week.
It's been fantastic.
It has been fantastic indeed. Want to thank Anthony Bacco for all of his hard work. Thanks to Jacob Phillips, and of course thanks to Jordan Elliott for their time as well. Anthony Poisal, fine job as always. We look forward to hearing you on CBD, and of course next week all throughout our coverage here of Mandatory Minicamp Week. We will have you covered on all of the Browns media platforms, so make sure you check it out all week long as we get the final tune-up before Training Camp 2022. You can like and subscribe today to the best podcast available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Browns. For Anthony Bacco, for Anthony Poisal, I'm Jason Gibbs. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the best podcast available, presented by Cross Country Mortgage.